A Star Wars movie will never bomb at the box office. Mark my words, not a single Star Wars movie, no matter what it is, will ever bomb at the box office.
Never tell me the odds.
Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to another Sunday Funday. And for today, we will be returning to a segment that we have not seen for a while, and that is an easy fix. And for today, we will be fixing Solo, a Star Wars story. So as always with easy fixes, first we must start off with the problem. Now, what was the problem with Solo, a Star Wars story? Well, to start, like you kind of just sort of saw implied in my intro, the movie was a box office bomb, or at least it was considered it. It made back its budget, but it only grossed $393 million off of a $275 million budget. And other than that, it was really honestly just the mixed receptions. It was a really mixed bag when it came to this movie. Nobody hated it really that I saw, but also nobody really loved it. I mean, for instance, on IMDb, it had a 7.1 from audiences and a 62 from Metacritic. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it had a 71% from critics and a 64% from audiences. So like I said, kind of a mixed bag. It never really fell into like rotten territory or anything, but it never really, reached what other Star Wars movies have. But for me, I didn't mind this movie at all, honestly. If I recall correctly, I believe I gave it a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10. I'm going to give Solo, a Star Wars story, a 7.5 out of 10. I had a fun time. I was super excited for it, really kind of heading into the movie. Then, I saw some kind of meh reception, so then I kind of got a little less excited, lowered my expectations, but I came out of the movie having fun. It does have its problems, for sure, and those are more in-depth problems that I don't really feel the need to discuss, like kind of the lack of villain and things like that. Regardless, it does need fixing. My solutions might seem a bit off from what I gave as the problems, but I believe if they would have done these things, then it would have fixed the movie overall. Firstly, this might seem a little odd in how you're gonna say, like, how would this fix this movie? Like, how does just doing this simple thing really fix this entire movie? Well, I believe, honestly, the first thing that they could have done to fix this movie is not release it in May. They should have released it in December, like every other Star Wars movie has been for the last 3 years before it. And the reason for that being, franchise fatigue is kind of starting to set in for Star Wars. If you didn't see, there was just an interview recently in which a Disney exec stated that there would be a slowdown on Star Wars movies because the franchise fatigue is already kicking in after only like 3 or 4 movies. And mostly because there was major backlash off of The Last Jedi, which just dropped the December before this movie released. And people were boycotting this movie because they really did not like what happened with The Last Jedi. I'm not going to be discussing The Last Jedi right now. I just want to let you guys know, I think it's great. I know a lot of people hate it. That's not the topic. So I was fine going to see this movie in May. I was excited because, hey, a Star Wars movie coming out like 5 months later. But a lot of people really did not like The Last Jedi. A lot of people hated it. I feel like if it would have released in December, usually that's a lot bigger for movies to make a lot of money. I know there are some releases like The Avengers and things like that, but I feel like Star Wars, it just doesn't belong in May. Pushing it to December, you would have gave people a full year to kind of just digest and rest with The Last Jedi, and they would have been ready for Star Wars again by the time December rolled around. Next fix would be better advertising, because let's face it, the advertising for this movie was shitty. It was bad, okay? I saw the first trailer, I was completely underwhelmed. I wasn't hyped at all. I was hyped for the idea of the movie. I watched the trailer and I was like, that was boring. And even the second trailer dropped, I was like, that seems really boring. The last trailer dropped, I think they had a bit of a change of a soundtrack, showed a bit more action. I became more excited for it then, but still, the advertising was super underwhelming. And then you had all the behind the scenes stuff when they changed directors to Ron Howard taking over the picture. There was a whole bunch of a mess, and they were going on about reshoots and this and that and the other thing, and they had to reshoot like a ton of the movie that they had because Ron Howard and Disney wanted it differently. So I believe that the advertising kind of reflected that, because there were scenes in the advertising that didn't end up in the movie, and they didn't really know what they could and couldn't show, and maybe they didn't even have enough to show because they refused to move the release date again from May, so there's that problem again. So I feel like they had to start from scratch and really just kind of squish it all in, and they just didn't have what they just didn't have what they wanted to show us by the time the trailers were supposed to drop. So the trailers were super, super underwhelming. They could have spiffied them up, they should have spiffied them up, even if they had to use footage from the movie that had already been shot, even if they scrapped it, give us something to make us excited. The advertising on this was horrible, fans were not hyped, they were not looking forward to it, and it really did weigh heavily on this movie. Trust me, advertising is a major thing. If a movie looks good, you're going to be interested, you're going to want to go see it. Even if it just looks like a guilty pleasure time, you're still going to want to go see it. This movie looked really, really underwhelming. It looked really boring, if I'm being honest, and I didn't really care to see it until like the last trailer, so the advertising should have been way better. And lastly, there's a few more story things. It kind of links to the advertising a little bit, but I want to warn you that there will be some spoilers for Solo, a Star Wars story. So going forward, if you've seen it, you don't have to care, or if you don't care about spoilers, continue on. But if you have not seen the movie and you do not want spoilers, do not continue past this point. So that was your fair warning. Going ahead now, what they should have done, I believe, to actually make this movie itself better, because then maybe it could have got a bigger grossing by word of mouth. Maybe people could have seen it, the reviews would have came out, you would have told your friends, hey, it's actually a really good movie. There's some really good, new, memorable characters, there's this, that, the other thing, and that's what I want to touch on, was the characters. Woody Harrelson's fine, Emilia Clarke's fine, Paul Bettany, I thought he was good, the little bit that he was in it, so I guess, yeah, I could add that part on, that the villain definitely should have been more prominent. We should have had a much, much, much better villain, because the little bit that Paul Bettany was in it, I thought he was good, he was interesting, and they really could have made something special out of his role. They didn't, so that's something they could have fixed for sure. But overall, they just should have focused on the new characters a lot more. Going back to the trailers and the advertising, in the trailer they kept showing this moment where Chewie's hanging over this train thing and it looks like they're going to be hit by a rock. Why though? I don't understand why you even bothered to put that in the trailer. I don't understand why it's in the movie. We know Chewie doesn't die. He's in a vast majority of the Star Wars movies. This one takes place long before the original. I don't understand why they put it in it. Like, oh my god, is Chewie gonna die? No shit, he doesn't. Are you kidding me? What a waste of time to even put that in the trailer, to even take the time to put it in the movie. Why? And that's what really pissed me off about this movie, is the fact that we had some characters that could have been really, really interesting, and guess what? They die in the beginning of the first heist. Some of them last a little bit to the end of the heist, but pretty much all of them die except for Woody Harrelson, Chewie, and Han. Why, though? I don't understand why. That's what you have to do to make this movie more interesting. Give us new characters. You want to tell the origin story of Han, well, not the origin story, but how he got into the Han that we know and love. But this was not the way to do it. You have to give us new, relatable, and most importantly, memorable and interesting characters, and they just didn't do that. Woody Harrelson was fine, Emilia Clarke was fine, like I already said, but the point is, when they focus so heavily on trying to make us feel like Han and Chewie are in danger, if you have seen any of the other Star Wars movies, which I believe you would have if you were going to see this, you would have known that you just plainly and simply did not have to care about any single scene in which they tried to make us think that Han and Chewie were in danger, because obviously they weren't. So they should have taken those moments, scrapped them completely, left the story elements there, they were fine, and kept the characters alive, the new ones, stretched out their stories, made us care about them. If you want to kill them off at the end, go for it, but you really should have made us care about them first, because at least we would have left thinking, oh, that sucks, I wish we had more movies with those guys in it, I wish we got more of them, because you didn't think that way after the movie because they were in it so little that you didn't even have time to care about them in the first place. There was rumors and word that Alden Ehrenreich had actually signed on for 3 Han Solo movies. Highly unlikely they're going to happen now from what I've heard, because what they said they would happen based on, you know, what money they made back, audience reception and stuff. But if they planned on making this into its own trilogy or even bigger franchise, they should have kept them around anyway for sequels. So that was my easy fix for Solo, a Star Wars story, guys. So guys, if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know. What did you think of my fixing of Solo, a Star Wars story? Do you think that my ideas actually would have fixed this movie? Do you think it was great anyway? Or do you think that it just simply cannot be repaired? And also, don't forget to check me out on the social medias. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You'll find all the links in the description. And once again, be sure to check out my Instagram on every Friday for Fan Vote Friday, which will be starting this coming Friday. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And that's a wrap.